Welcome to Zarnia. Oh, did you want to? Go ahead.
I was just trying to pip you.
Oh, okay. Hey, welcome to Zarnia. For Games and Geekery, I'm John.
I'm Adil, and
we
today...
are bored to be wild.
Are we?
What do you mean today?
Today we're bored to be wild.
We exist actually in some kind of virtual space in YouTube, so there's no today. We are just stuck on a loop. There's no today.
Tomorrow?
No, there's nothing. There's nothing. So, the king is dead.
Long live the king!
But who's that king going to be? That is the question we are asking ourselves in The King is Dead. So, what's this game all about?
It is set just after King Arthur dies.
I didn't know we had a king. I thought we were an autonomous collective.
You're fooling yourself. We're living in a dictatorship.
And we're vying for control of the different regions in Britain. And there are multiple different factions. So there are... Can you remind me what these three factions are?
Yes, I can indeed. So we've got the Scots, we've got the Romano-British, and we have the Welsh? Is it the Welsh?
Indeed.
We have the Welsh.
But also the Saxons.
No, but the Saxons, they're just there to disrupt things.
They invade the island if you try to resolve a power struggle and there's either nobody there or you have a tie.
Okay. I am actually going to just put a pin in this deal and just say, you got it wrong. We are not vying for control of these regions. This game is a much more subtle political game. It's not a game of conquest and taking over territories. It's rather a game of politics, moving representatives around the different regions so that they fall under control of different factions. And then you also need to get the loyalty of those factions.
You got me, actually. It's very interesting that it's this sort of shadowy influence behind the factions rather than playing as the factions themselves, which would be more normal in a game like this, I guess.
Yeah, in fact, I found this game to be quite difficult to explain the mechanic of, but as soon as you actually put it on the board, it became much clearer.
And it felt super simple, right? I mean, all you do during the game, you get this set of 8 cards. Everybody's got the same cards. All you're doing in the entire game is you're going to play a card, take a cube, and that's it.
Move them around.
Once you've played all 8 of your cards, your game is done.
Well, your role in the game is done. You could still win, you could still lose, but the game moves at its own kind of pace. I found like the whole mechanic pretty unique. I don't think I've ever played a game that had this mechanic, and it really did feel very powerfully political.
Yeah, and the first time I played it, it was actually an older game called The King of Siam, which this is a reskin of. And after I'd played it, I went out looking for the game and found that it was actually out of print. And the new version, The King is Dead, came out about a year later. And fantastic game. I thought I had to go out and find a copy.
Let's go back and just say, how does the cycle of this game work? All right.
So you have 8 different power struggles that you're trying to resolve, and the power struggles are essentially the different regions in Britain.
The different regions on the map, and also represented here by the 8 different cards.
And they'd be resolved in this order, so they're numbered and you go from 1 to 8. One of the things that you can do, so one of the cards that you can play, will change the order that you resolve the different regions in. So you can swap 2 cards around, and you will then put a crown on one of them, which stops anybody else from changing that.
Okay, but why would someone want to change the order?
Because you may have managed to create a stronghold for a particular color. Maybe you're trying to get the Scots to win one of the regions down south, and that might be the one that's about to be resolved. At the last second, you might change the order of that.
And you could really mess with other people's plans this way. You could trap all the followers that they're building up in one of the regions. It's just juicy, very juicy.
And you might then, by doing that, you might actually get people to play some of their cards earlier in the game than they would have otherwise. Remembering that once you've played all your cards, you're actually out of the game.
Yeah, so despite there being 8 rounds, you can do all 8 of your cards in the first round or save them all up for the final round, passing each round until then. I mean, it's not a great strategy, but it's something you could do. While you are moving the followers around to try and resolve these different regions, you're also gathering some of the followers to yourself to build up a selection of people who will be with you. And you can only build up 8 of these out the whole game. So that figure of 8 just keeps on coming. 8 rounds, 8 actions, 8 followers. And you've got to try and have the most followers at the end of the game of the faction that controls the most regions.
If there's a tie for that, so let's say that there were 2 factions that were tied, then
that's when we get the sword and the stone and we pull it out.
Yeah, no.
Okay, that's when we go to the lake and get the lady and we pull her out.
Not that either.
Listen, strange women lying in ponds distributing swords is no basis for a system of government.
Not that either.
That's already happened because Arthur's dead.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. And things can't happen twice apparently.
Also, Arthur never existed.
I mean, Arthur's real. Arthur's real. Don't let him take this away from me or you. Put in the comments below, Arthur is real. Thanks. So what does the end game look like?
Well, at the end of the game, each player is going to have 8 cubes in front of them, as we mentioned, and each region will have some control marker on it. Okay, so all 8 of them. We will look at which of the factions has control of most of the regions, or the most regions, and then which player has the most cubes of that particular faction. And then that player is the winner. And it really does come down to those last couple of actions, right? So it's very tense. We found that you were very quietly ruminating, sort of trying to work out what everybody else is going to do. And you know what people are going to do because you can see what cards they've got left.
Yeah, you know the options that they have.
But you just don't know when they're going to do it and which place they might put down a particular follower. I found it very interesting. Like I think that it's a very tense game. It's a game I've actually played a fair amount. But I don't think that I've gotten very good at it, as evidenced by your trouncing of us.
Oh, that was spectacular. Maybe that's why I enjoyed the game so much, but very tense, trying to figure out what's going to happen. This game is completely open. All the information that everyone has is available. You know, you can't keep secrets, you can't hold back a random card or a random event. Everything is equal access. And that's where the real kind of fencing and jousting of this game gets into it, because you could really push to win a region, but you exhaust your resources and then you won't be able to play out later how the game works, and you won't be able to switch around.
And to some extent there is also the possibility that players side together. So at the start of the game you have a couple of random followers. And that might give you an indication of which, it gives you sort of a leg up on a particular faction. So that might give you an indication of where you should be playing. And if there's another player at the board that's got similar to you, then they are invested in the same faction. So you might kind of team up a little bit against some of the other players.
This game would work really well if it was reskinned for a modern political election. It just feels like that Armando Iannucci kind of political satire, everyone backstabbing everyone else, everyone trying to move their people into the right regions and get the College of Electors on their side, or try some finagling move. That's what I'm imagining, even though it's just a little red block.
A bunch of cubes. Someone might say you were pushing cubes around the board.
Okay, we're not going to go back to the wombat thing. We've already done that. We've already beaten the wombat joke to death.
You're a wombat.
No more. No. Stop trying to push this wombat.
I'm pushing cubes. I'm not pushing any wombats.
You're pushing the... Okay, we've already spent too much time now on the wombat. I regret ever bringing up the wombats. This is badgers. Some kind of UK animal. I don't know.
A fox.
Yes, a wily, cunning fox. Yeah.
So this game is the wily, cunning fox of Euro games then?
It is sneaky, wily, and very tense.
Very intense.
I wouldn't say that this is a great game to unwind with friends. I would say that this is a great game to defeat your passive-aggressive enemies and trounce them through political maneuvering.
And it generally plays in probably 30 to 45 minutes, depending on how fast people play, right? So, but you can spend quite a long time thinking about a particular move. And during those turns, it's very quiet and things get very up in your head, I would say. So it can be 30 to 40 minutes, and quite often you would play it back to back. You just play another game because you just want to do better in the next play.
Because you think that you can beat me. You can't. Galaxy Brain. 5D chess. Future is now. I see and know all.
So that was our review of The King is Dead. Thank you for watching. Please do like, subscribe, comment below, tell us what you thought of the game, and if there are any games that you'd like us to review, please let us know. We'll see you next time on Zarnia for Games and Geekery.
I'm enlightened now. There is no conflict. We are all the same cubes.